Good evening and welcome to the Immersive Experience, a podcast about you, for you, from you. And tonight we talk about dancing with darkness. And I want to let y'all know that what that's about, if you didn't read the little blurb that be on the podcast thing, is shadow work. So we are talking shadow work tonight. And I'm your guide, Desi Lou, and you can follow the Immersive Experience on Instagram at the underscore Immersive Experience, and also right here on Facebook um, at the Immersive Experience as well, and also on YouTube. Same thing. All right, fellas, you want to introduce yourselves? Let them know who you are.
Mr. Accountability, J Rel on Facebook. I'm here, talk my shit, spread a little knowledge, learn a little something. Sunday, fun day.
Absolutely.
Mental, spirituality and natural living on Facebook. Just about the occult. About to talk about some darkness. My favorite. Let's
Hey,
get it.
let's go. All right. Darkness is also my favorite as well. And, I am a creature of my own depth for sure. And it definitely ain't no light down there. But that's where all my light come from, though. I ain't gonna lie. That's how I learned I was bioluminescent. So I want to first ask you guys, what is shadow work? Who want to take that question?
I'll
All
take it.
right. All right, mental, go ahead.
Well, shadow work is going to be the internal work, the recognition of self, the acknowledgement of your strengths, your weaknesses, the openness to learn, the openness to process, that third eye view, that view outside of yourself, looking at yourself, processing what you're doing. So that shadow work has nothing to do with anyone else. It's you dealing with you, getting things straight. Most of us, all of us have mommy daddy issues, childhood trauma, things that we gotta to address for us to be fully us. Knowledge issues because we're taught lies from the right out the get go. So elementary school, high school. So, that shadow work is something that you have to get for yourself. There's no paycheck in it. No one's going to pat you on the back, say, great job. So it's something that you have to do for yourself to better yourself, by yourself.
Thank you so much. I
To
appreciate that.
to add on to that, I agree fully. Another thing I would say
Okay.
with shadow work is a lot of people act a certain way out in public, but behind closed doors, you're a different person. That to me is also a form of yourself, really, because I'm gonna be me regardless. I'm a genuine guy. I'm a nice guy. Out in public, I don't do it for any reason other than just myself. And even behind closed doors, I'm just a genuine nice guy.
Right. And that's what all of this is about. It's about just exactly that. The person you are that you can be by yourself, the person we gonna integrate both of these people into the same everyday life. like and that's what we it's about integration. It's not about eradicating. And we gonna get to know what we looking at, what we seeing, and we gonna do some shit with it. So I have woo, I'ma save that. um I think mental, I feel like you really, really touched on this a lot because I wanted to talk about what the significance of shadow work was. Um, and like you said, it's about dealing with self. It's about um, getting in tune with self, the darkest parts of yourself, them corners that you don't want nobody to see. Like when you don't clean behind the stove, this is what shadow work is. It's like shadow work, like you ain't get that crumb back there. Hold on, come back, come pick me up. Cause it's a lesson in them shadows, it's treasures in the shadows, it's gifts, and you gotta learn how to operate them. Okay,
Well, you got to
so
remember, self is the only person you can't lie to.
absolutely. Thank you.
So when you're
Yeah.
doing shadow work, you're not lying to yourself. You're letting everything be truthful. Okay, this is what it is. This is what I did. Whether you were guilty or not guilty, or you meant to do it or didn't mean to do it, it is what it is. But that's the
Yeah.
problem. Most of us can't even be truthful with ourselves.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
That's a
That's
big
an issue.
problem.
That's an issue because
And
that
I
means you can't be truthful with anyone.
exactly. I want the people watching and all of us to just ask yourself, how bad can the truth of you be?
Mm.
You know what
Sometimes,
I'm saying?
yes, sometimes it can be really bad. And I say that I speak for myself when I say that because my truth, it got bad because I really thought that and believed that if I fully opened up and if I fully allowed all my problems, what I hate within myself, to really be out there and really actually dug deep into myself, I felt like I would crumble. So in a lot of ways, it can get bad because I allowed myself to go so downhill so bad within myself, not really from an outside perspective, just my own self acknowledgement, my own self hate, my own self dislike, all that stuff. So I feel like it can get bad within yourself, and that's not even from an outside view. A lot of people make a lot of outside decisions, and that makes you really think about, like, man, I can't come back from this. Or I did this, or I murdered this person, or I cheated on this many people, or I can't come back from this. My karma is gonna be my karma. There is no coming back. And some people see that as it can get real bad for me because I did all this stuff at a young age or at an older age or whatever. And they look at themselves like, yeah, no, I can never accept myself. I can never accept those things I did because it's too bad.
Once again, forgiveness starts with self.
Oh
That's part of
yes,
the shadow work.
100%.
Forgiving self for
A hun-
whatever you've done
a
and
hundred.
pledging to do better moving forward. That's all you can do. You can't erase the past. No one's going to ask anyone to erase the past. All you can do is acknowledge it and move forward.
Yeah,
All right.
I feel that. I'm just saying from my perspective. For me, yeah, it started with forgiving myself with a lot of things. But some other people, it can get so bad to a point where they won't even care to forgive themselves. They just say forget it and just keep going.
That's an issue. Because
Yeah, it is.
once again, if you can't forgive yourself, you can't forgive no one else.
Yeah.
The
So
truth
someone does one thing to you and you're on this, I can't stand that person. One thing.
is, and the truth is, it's really you. It's just you. We just like when we think about this, you just meet reflections of yourself. And it's just pieces. And then people are gleaning into you. The things that trigger you, the things that these are moments where you can take a tool and excavate some shit. Like, listen, I need to keep y'all be afraid to dig. And it's like, you know you buried it. You knew where you buried it. Go get the time capsule. What you scared of? You did it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you have to face. That's you, regardless if you say, no, I only did it because pa 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 pa. We reward some things and then we hide away with others. But everything that you have done, everything that you will do, it will always be a part of you. There's no piece of you that you could just think that you could just throw away. It's gonna always come back. You're gonna always find yourself stumbling over the same thing because you have to pick it up, you have to view it, you have to get the lesson from it first of all. And that's why we be hiding shit. And then we hide it in ways where we think that we playing ourselves. We just go and do it in another form.
Mental has this statement he said, and it stuck with me. From the first day he said it, because it sounds something like what I say. He said, I may not be spot on. I'm trying to get close as I can. He mentioned how when somebody does something to you and you get mad about it, it's because you see some of that in yourself, or something like that, something of those words.
That's exactly it. When you get mad at someone else doing something to you, it's because you are you don't like that in yourself.
Yeah, I agree with that. For me, that resonates the most, because I'm a big believer in whatever you don't fix, it just comes right back around, and
Absolutely.
it's gonna teach you the same lesson over and over and over again until hey, I got to figure out why this is steady happening. I got to figure out within myself why this problem steady coming up, why this isn't fixed.
I agree. Mental.
Same issue just keep coming around.
What's it's an effect. What is that effect called? And there's
To
like tons
me,
of
insanity. I mean, honestly, it's the same thing,
it's
expecting
like
a different result.
about it though. And it's like they keep going in a cycle, and they keep repeating the same day over and over and over again. Y'all know
It
what I'm
sounds
talking
familiar.
about?
I just can't think what it is.
I'm not quite sure.
Okay. Well, mental, why does pain have the ability to turn us into something we are not?
Well, first we have to distinguish what type of pain are we talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Are we talking about physical pain? Are we talking about emotional pain? Are we talking about mental anguish? Which one are we talking about? Because each one has its different level of effect on us. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Physical pain, it hurts while you're under the physical endurement of that pain. Once
Right.
it's healed, it's pretty much gone. You got a scar and you're like, eh. You know what I'm saying? Emotional pain lasts a little longer because it could be a loved one, or someone you loved and lost, or death in the family, or you know what I'm saying? Anything
Mhm.
of that nature. Being emotionally, you might be angry and you said something or did something to someone, and you lost a friend and you never really got over it. And then you have your worst of all is mental anguish. Like Mr. Accountability said, you done killed somebody, you done did some shit. You feel really, really, really bad. You can't get over it. That mental anguish. That's when you got to look deep into yourself and, like we were just saying, and find that forgiveness.
Mhm.
But all of them are pain. It just depends on how we're going to express it. Most of us try to hide pain.
Mhm.
With pain comes emotional distress, tears. Most of us won't cry.
I know
So
I did.
where's our outlet as men? Now this is as men. We won't cry,
I wouldn't either.
even
I'm not.
though we would be very tearful from the emotional distress that we feel. So there has to be ways for us to alleviate the pain. When we can't alleviate a certain pain, it becomes a trauma. Stays with us, never moves. We put it rocks in our like putting rocks in a backpack that you just hold on to all your life.
And how does doing all of that have the ability to turn you into something that you're not?
Because of the pain, you'll start acting out of pain. Because
Mm,
you're in pain, you want other people to feel pain. Pain, what is it? Misery loves company.
absolutely. I agree with that.
They don't want to be the only one in pain, so they'll try to inflict that on someone else. Some people become serial killers. Some people become narcissists. You see where I'm getting at? Why?
Hmm.
They're under pain. The only way another person would want to hurt, injure, steal, take, swindle another person if they're not under some type of pain themselves. Because what it's saying is, it's okay for me to do these things.
Yeah.
That's why religion doesn't satisfy us when it comes to morals. if we were all spiritually cultivated and everything we did was from the inner us that said, I don't want anyone to take from me, so I'm not going to take from them, because whatever I do to them is like me doing it to myself, then you won't even need police.
Mm-hmm.
But because we're in the realm of the haves and the have-nots, the good and the bad, the right and the wrong, the higher and the lower, the lowest part of our thinking, they've made this Western civilization has made the lowest part of our thinking the most dominant, and it's the most destructive.
Yeah, and that's,
That's
you know
why
what? And
when
that's to the
go ahead.
book that you had us reading, the Metunetter.
Uh-huh.
That's in there. And it talks about how the Western civilization is like only the we only use tools outside of ourselves, you
That's
know.
it.
So like, and that just keeps us, and that's what they said. He also said that's
It
what they
keeps
did
us
with
caught up
religion as
in what
well. He
looks
put the
good,
God
feels good,
outside of
tastes
us.
good, smells good, sounds good. All
Yeah.
our pleasures. And as long as you're
Absolutely.
wrapped up in the pleasures, you'll never get into the deeper inside of you. Because pleasure
Yeah.
means the world has to give you pleasure. We all know that the world is not going to please you 24/7 all day long. Every day, every week, every month, that's not going to happen.
I like to say that pain demands to be felt just as deeply as pleasure. So I think we always gotta keep that in mind, because as much as you enjoy pleasure, oh, pain demand the same attention, baby.
Well, you have some people that can experience pleasure to its degree.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
So it's an ability to experience. No matter what we go through it so that we can experience, because it's gonna better us on the inside. Most of us only look at what's on the outside, so they don't get the training, the benefit of it.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
how the things that I love, that I think are priceless, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, to others are irrelevant, ain't worth nothing. You
So,
understand what I'm saying?
yeah, I do. So, Jarrell, why does pain have the ability to turn us into something we are not?
Like Mental said, it's pain creates pain, hurt creates hurt. Most of the
Hmm.
time, people they're not thinking as rational as they should be. And the reason I say it should be is because a lot of people say, let's say you're dating somebody and they cheat on you, that it's gonna hurt, right? That
Hmm.
natural hurt, sometimes people react and they say, oh, I just reacted. You thought about it before you reacted. But that pain that you felt is the reason why you did what you did. Not saying it's right, but you did what you did based on that pain. So now you in pain, you want to hurt the next person, or the next person, or the next person. Pain sometimes puts you in a mental state to where it's like, I don't care. When in reality you do, but you don't. You're not thinking well enough to really calm down. And you know what? This happened.
Well,
What?
in the moment of pain, you don't care.
No. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. In that moment, you don't care. That's what the pain is telling
Yeah,
yourself. You don't. The
yeah, you don't care.
pain telling you you don't care. Do whatever. They hurt you. Well, this person hurt you. That person hurt you. Like, you in pain. So now do whatever, because now it's rational. And after people tell themselves it's rational that I did this, or I acted this way because of you. No, you acted that way because you chose to. That pain that you felt, you allowed it to take over. And a
Yeah.
lot of
Have
people
y'all?
can't. Hmm,
Do y'all? I don't know if y'all seen the Netflix series Avatar: The Last Airbender yet.
not
Have
yet.
y'all
Not
seen it?
yet. I gotta
Oh, okay.
watch it.
Well, I'm not gonna talk. You seen it, Mental?
Oh yeah.
Damn, Jarrell. Oh.
Go. Go
I
ahead.
don't
You
want to
good?
ruin it for anybody, but what you just said resonated heavily. So, but go
Okay.
ahead. I'm sorry.
I do have a curious question for both you and Mental though. Now this is just curiosity, just hypothetical, right? Because
Okay.
like you said, Mental, when people are in pain, to alleviate that pain in some way that they feel alleviate the pain, they're going to do something else, right? Do you feel like The Purge, in a sense, makes sense?
Like the movie?
Yeah.
Well,
because that's one day, or it's like what, 12 hours, something like that. 12, it may be 24
well,
hours
well.
for people to
Once
go out and do
again,
whatever.
we gotta recognize the structure and the balance in the setup. There cannot be good without bad. Cannot be light without darkness. Up without down, right without left, in without out. We can go on and on and on. That's a law of the opposites. So there's certain laws we cannot break. We can
No.
only operate. No, I'm getting to your point. We can only operate within them. So everything, even the emotion, negative emotions, emotions of hate, jealousy, anger, play their role. Either they play a role for the person that's getting afflicted by it, or they play a role with the person that's doing it. So I think the way I would answer your question is, as in, everyone has that. They're either, you're learning from that. We all should be learning from our anger, learning from our outbursts, things of that nature. So if someone gets mad and like a purge or something like that, no, don't purge them people. They're already in pain. We think that killing someone, taking them off the earth is like, oh yeah, that's the best way to get on. No, letting them live is worse.
I agree with that.
Because now they got to keep going through this pain.
And take
See, when you arrive at a certain spiritual level, you can look a person in the eye and see their pain.
Mm-hmm. You sure can.
They pretty much just tell it to you.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of us are in pain. We're going through trauma we've never dealt with. We've got 40, 50, 60-year-olds still going through childhood trauma. Still of that, meaning the things that happened in their childhood are still affecting the way they think, act, and do things to this day. And that's crazy. So this is what I'm talking about. But go ahead. What'd you say?
I don't think the purge is necessary. I agree with what Mental was saying. You need to learn how to get some discipline about yourself. Learn to control yourself a little better. You just be out here loosey-goosey and all of that because you're mad. Get the fuck over it.
But that's society. That's what we're taught. Do what you want. Get your passion together. If you like little kids, go ahead and do that. You like murdering? Go ahead and do that. You like raping? Go ahead and do that. Let's be real. If you got a good lawyer, you'll get away for it for a little while. I mean, let's be real. If you're powerful and a millionaire, you can do it. You can get away. Let's be real. This is what the world has come to.
Society is also teaching us that you gonna get caught. It's okay. You said for a little while, it's still gonna come back around
for a little while.
Bite you in your motherfucking ass.
Because
might as well just do what you need to do. Thank you, Nunu.
I appreciate it. I try. Just a little something. No, not major, Nunu.
Real.
You sure wasn't that darkness right there? That darkness.
Man, I'm telling you.
Culture.
he sure left us hanging.
But yeah, I mean, so we all got to remember, everyone is playing their part. And they got to play their part for us to be. Most of us, see, once we become conscious, we become the king and the queens on the pawn on the chessboard. Everyone else is there to serve us.
It's too late, Nunu. I'm already hurt.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So everyone else is there. So when we see people dying frivolously, and people get emotional and they go take to the streets and they'll go picket and do what we done did in the 60s over and over and over again. Instead of getting knowledge of what's really going on and changing things on the inside, because we know no better. We have been thoroughly taught how to not love ourselves and not to have knowledge of self.
I agree.
A black man can be talking about the truth, and If he's with other people and they're white or other races, most people will listen to everything else everybody else has to say, no matter how much truth the black man says. The question is, why? Why are we so hated all over the world? Why?
Well, if we let the Israelites tell it.
Go ahead.
What does that
What'd they
call?
say? Let me hear this lie. Go ahead.
Hey, listen. we the chosen people.
Uh-huh.
And listen, that's why they put y'all in bondage through y'all mind, because they knew that was the only way that they could keep y'all down. So they knew I need to systematically keep them from thinking that they can do better than what I'm showing them that they can do, so they don't know how great they is.
Absolutely. Because we're the only race that has attributes of non-humans. We're literally in a world and not of it.
Yeah.
Our hair is the only hair, like I said before, that forms a number 9. 9 on top of 9 is why our hair kinks up. And that's a 9 either. It's because we're potent. Everything me and Mr. Accountability touch turns black.
Hey.
Okay? Everything we touch. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's our genetic strength. This is why they say we can't get along with the Caucasian race, because the Caucasian race sees our genetic strength as if we mate with them, there'll be no more Caucasian race. That's what the Ku Klux Klan talks about. That's what the alt-right talks about. And guess what? They're right. The problem is how they're going about with their message. I agree with them.
Okay.
Because we dark, we take over. There's only going to be so much more. What's a good word? Races, because as we blend back into the one, if the world's still going on, then we all go back into the one melting pot again. But it starts and ends with darkness.
Okay.
Because we were the first.
I agree.
The Romans
So,
were black.
Jarrell,
The Greeks were black. The Chinese, the first Chinese, black. The Japanese, black. Don't get it twisted. All over the world.
Right. I agree. Definitely. And it's things that will prove this. Like,
yes, documented. If you want to know, it's
you can go
documented.
look it up. It's a lot of stuff.
You got tribes in Africa right now with slanted eyes and nappy hair. In fact, you got races of people in China right now with our nappy features. They're up in the mountains. They don't even show them in the streets no more. This is the type of hate I'm talking about. This shit is crazy.
Yeah. The people these people invented mathematics. They did. They came up with the Shango bone. This the earliest form of mathematics that they could think of. And with the Shango bone, they was over there measuring moon cycles and shit. They knew shit before we knew what
the
we
problem
was doing.
is when you say your race is only 5,000-6,000 years old, and we got pottery 20, 30, 40,000 years old. What are we talking about?
Nah, nothing.
Anything you talking about is old and recycled. Everything you got has to come from someone else.
Absolutely.
Everything.
Jarrell, I want to ask you, why does finding out who we truly are cause a great deal of pain? And I feel like you kind of touched on this earlier.
You don't know the answer. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's the next step. Like for me, that's what it is for me. I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought I was going to break. Finding out who I was and what I was about and learning how to really refine myself, relearn myself, and get more control of everything. Because having control of your mental, it takes time and it takes a lot of digging. It takes a lot of self-reflection and looking yourself in the mirror, looking at everything from start to finish. It's not just today I did good. No, it's everything. And you only get better because of everything that you look at. So it takes a whole lot.
Okay. Mental, why does finding out who we truly are cause a great deal of pain?
I would say just the opposite, because once you know who you are not. And because of that, that puts you at odds with your friends, your family, everybody you knew. All the people that thought you were a certain way, now you've just been born again with knowledge of self. And you know all the things before were false, but you can't go around telling everybody what's wrong. You
Yeah.
lose friendships, loved ones, social arenas. Now you don't go to church no more. Now you don't do this no more. Everybody wondering what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
So the pain really comes from you knowing and you wanting others to know, but they don't want to know or they're not interested. For
Mhm.
me, anyway.
No, it
Because
was
if
like that
everybody
for
knew
me.
what I knew, it'd be no choice.
It was like that for me when I think it for me it was a big acceptance thing for me at first. It was just kind of like, oh, I want to be, I want to feel like I fit in. But then like after a while, it was just kind of like, you know what, fuck you, fuck fitting in, fuck this hierarchy, fuck all this shit y'all got going on. And because one thing that I will say is when you battle with the acceptance thing, that's where people pleasing comes from, because I'm always trying to bend over backwards. This is where you start blurring those lines. When you start saying yes when you mean no, no when you mean yes. Come on, like what we doing? We playing what we doing. You got to think of your goal, and then you got to ask yourself every single day, is this in alignment with my goal? Like, is this how I want this? And if it seemed like it could throw you off from reaching your goal, then you got to choose the opposite every single time. And I think that's where a lot of people will say like this. That's why it's so hard for them, to kick that off, because I don't think most people understand that people pleasing is a defense mechanism. It taught you how to get your way in the first place. So and then you'll lose it. Now you say like, oh, I don't know what to do. You out there, you don't got no defenses because you don't know how to get people to accept you. You don't know how to get people to like you without doing something for them, without overstepping or overplaying your part all the fucking time. Because if I do this for you, I need you to need me. Because if you need me, then I can keep you. And that's why we got so many people walking around here like, I did this, I did that. Ooh, and then you get swelled up. But for what? Come on, baby, this is what you chose. If this is who you are, this is just who you are. You let people play you on the daily, then you let people play you on the daily. And that's why I always gotta let people know, like, you be seeing the signs, and shadow work gonna help you go back in and tell you that this where you missed the sign at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. For a lot of
So
people, for myself, I never cared what people thought. So for me, a lot of my pain, which I knew would stem from self-reflection.
yeah. I think it just came a lot from like me looking at myself and like really having to say to myself, you allowed that. I think that was the most hurtful part of my journey. Like, you allowed that.
Being
And
accountable.
and that's why I came to that conclusion of you can only be a victim one time. And most people will say, most of us have our traumas that'll stunt us in our child, that'll get us stuck in this pattern from our childhood. But don't get it twisted, because you can have things that happened to you yesterday get you stuck in a place. Like, you gotta really be willing to evaluate, really be willing to get down in there and see exactly why
But see,
what's
that's
best.
that's the shadow work. That's the
Exactly.
shadow work when you say no, you allowed that to happen. Now, the shadow work is why did you allow him to treat you like
Absolutely.
that? That's the shadow work.
Absolutely.
So
Get
once you
that
get
down
that
too.
and you get to the why and you correct the why, now you're a stronger person because you're not going to let anyone treat you like that anymore.
And
But
that's
until you get to the why of it, what are we doing? We're just feeling sorry for ourselves.
you gotta keep going. And
Right.
everything is a why. Ask yourself a question, ask it again, keep going back, because you're gonna keep unearthing things. It's gonna be new things every single time. Go look back at this is why they tell you to journal, because you're not gonna always remember what you said 12 months ago. But if you go back to that journal and you read that, you be like, listen, this where I'm messing up still. I'm still doing the same shit. But even if you don't, if you got a good memory like me, I understood. Like, now listen, bitch, you see what this man doing, right? What you think finna happen? I'm playing this out. I'm like, they already showed you they inconsistent. They done already showed you that boop, 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 boop. You get a job, they done already started lying to you. They done already said that you was gonna get this. Oh, the check that, but you still wanna work this? Oh, this how you still wanna play? Oh, okay, all right. Let's keep going. This is how I talk to myself. Like every day, I'm doing shadow work in my head like a motherfucker. I gotta keep up with my shadow because if I let it fall behind, all them old feelings gonna come back up. It's about keeping the machine working. How we running, how we walking, while we walking this way, because we trying to get here. You feel me?
Mhm.
So I want to know, why are so many people afraid of shadow work?
And the easiest way to explain that, people just choose not to fix their problem and choose not to fix themselves. They don't care. A lot of people really don't see a problem with the stuff they do.
It's
And I say
easier
that,
to maintain themselves. Remember, all our negative emotions fight to stay alive. All right. If it was that easier, a killer would just stop killing or a rapist would just stop raping. But that desire is so strong that they feel like, there's nothing else I can do. So
yeah,
they give into it.
a lot of people don't even feel like they're doing wrong. A lot of people don't even see that they're
Nah, they
wrong
know
in
they
any
doing
way.
wrong. They can rationalize it any way they want to,
Oh
but
yeah,
at the bottom line, they know they doing. They're just so far away from the truth that it's crazy.
I I I solely believe that, but I also believe the fact that a lot of people feel like what they're doing is okay, or what they have done justifies the things they didn't do. Like I'll give you an example. My I have a little cousin. He was very close to us, very close. He lived with us. My mom pretty much basically adopted him. He stayed with us from the time he was like 6 years old to 14, 15. He was at our house throughout the school year, most of the summer. The only time his mom came and got him is when she felt he was having too much fun, or his sister lied and said she hit him. Other than that, she mistreated him every way she could. Mistreated him. She took care of him because she put a roof over his head and put food in his stomach. Yeah, the basics, right? And she felt like she wasn't treating him wrong. Even when my mother would tell him like, "Yo, you treating these kids different. You're treating one way better than you treat the other." And she, no, I'm doing the same things for both, doing the same things for both. Until one day he was at our place, and his sister lied and said she hit him. She came, so his mama came and got him, and she beat him. He had an asthma attack. He slipped into a coma. He never came out, and he died. And
Wow.
it took for her to lose him to see where she actually was wrong, which to me is
Well,
all kinds of messed up. But that's how some people it takes for them to have to go through something for them to actually see I wasn't in the right. I have been in the right for a long time. A lot of people really tell themselves and literally put it in their own head that I ain't doing nothing wrong, or all the good I've done takes away from the bad. A lot of people tell themselves that. Is it right? No, but a lot of people do tell themselves that
but
dumb
it
statement.
comes back to the pain. They're under extreme amount of pain. When you're under pain and you're hurting, there's shit me and you'll do that we never even think of doing. But when you down and you out and you're under that much pressure, it it brings out the animal in us. It brings out the worst type of Mr. Accountability it can be. It brings out the worst type of mental that there can be. It's very, very, very difficult. That's why they put us in ghettos and these projects. They pop us on top of each other. They want us to be angry and individuals, so we think everybody's separate and everything's about us getting us. That's what they want. What they can't have is black love. They love black violence, but what they
Mhm.
can't have is black love. Because if they have black love, that means the jig is up.
Absolutely.
Everything they've tried to do for the last 100 years, 200 years would be for naught. Because if we love each other, then they have no backbone to stand on anymore. Police can't do their job. They can't kill us in the hospitals no more because we'll stop going. We'll stop buying they stuff from Walmart and Gap and Abercrombie and Fitch, they Nikes. We'll give them all back they stuff. And then they'll see, because they already know if we all move in mass, the shit is over. Our spiritual power alone will overtake everything. Change the world in snap of the finger. Now, I don't know if that can ever happen on this realm in this type of environment, but
That's where
hey,
my mind be at a lot of times, though. I promise, cause I promise I got this whole little plan figured out. You feel me? Like, listen, I can teach you how to overthrow the government in 5 seconds, but like, give me time. I don't be trying to die. Nunu said because shit be getting too real. I believe that shadow work will get you there. Thank you, Samil. And when you were talking, Tayana said you what you were saying. She agreed with it. She said very, very true. So, um, so I want to like ask you guys, what do you think some common misconceptions about shadow work would be?
Some common misconceptions. I would say a lot of people think too small, but sometimes figuring out the small problems helps with the bigger problems. So I can't say that. Common misconceptions. Oh, for me, I would say people feel like if they put enough good out in the world, then the bad they did will go away. They feel like that's the shadow work that they needed to do. Just okay, well, I already made a bad decision, so I'm gonna go out here and do a couple of good things to make myself feel better, to make myself look better, to make myself feel like okay, the bad I done is gone. I don't gotta worry about it. That was just that. Now I did my 3 good things, and so I'm good. And they never even corrected that first problem, which was the bad, which will end up coming back around because they never corrected it. They think just, oh, I'm gonna just skip over this and just go do 3 other good things.
I would say it's more in your intention. If you intention intention to do something, if you have the intention to do something that's good and it comes out bad, I mean, I really don't see an issue with that. You know what I'm saying? Now, most of us, like you were just saying, if you're just doing it because, yeah, I'm doing this what they call it, this fundraiser, you know what I'm saying? But I'm doing it because I want to look good and look to be nice when really,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even give a damn about what I'm fundraising for. The intention is wrong. So if your intention is right, regardless of the outcome, you'll always stand in good footing. There'll be no karma from that. You know what I'm saying? But most of us get shadow work as in if they just do good deeds, they think they're doing shadow work, which that is far from the truth.
Mm-hmm.
It
Like
has nothing to do with what you do on the outside. Everything you do on the outside from your shadow work is because of the development that happened on the inside of you. See, that's where we get shit twisted. We think the world is the reason why people do things. Oh, the world treats us like this. Now, environment does count. I will say that, but it's not the end all everything. The
Right.
inner us has to project and see what the world is giving us and take it in for ourselves to form our own picture. That's why 2 twins that grew up in the same place, same mom and dad, same environment and everything else can be 2 totally different beings, act differently, everything. But everything else
Because
about them is the
perception.
same.
Because of perception.
Only because how they seeing stuff and how they see things, how each of us see things is a part of our consciousness. This consciousness is a part of the indwelling being that's in us. This being is the same conscious being that runs our heart, that digests our food. You okay? So think of this being, it's non-emotional. Think about it. If it's like you woke up this morning and that subconscious or unconscious part, you said, you know something, I'm done with pumping the heart. Fuck pumping the heart. I don't feel like doing
You hear me?
it. You know what I'm saying? Think about it. It
Okay.
doesn't have those issues. It's not emotionally controlled by anything. And that's the part of us we want to get back to. Our original consciousness, unconditioned,
And that's also in
uncontrolled.
the book, The Metu Netter. It's y'all just, I promise, read the book. It's all in there. Like if you go on Amazon, you could go on there. It's The Metu Netter, and you
And
will be
and
able.
a shower would represent our omnipresent part of us. Same
Mm-hmm.
omnipresent part that the creator got, just in a smaller quantity.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how we get to the God body self in us, is going back into us. It's just that spirituality, spiritual cultivation isn't really taught over here in the Western society. It's
It's not.
religion.
We teach you need things outside of yourself.
Yes.
You need things outside of you. And not to say that but here's the thing: everything is necessary, but within balance. So you have to learn balance. This is life is a balancing act. You understand, of all of the dimensions that you are, all of the things that you are. One thing I want to say is one common thing misconception about um shadow work for all you Christian folk. It is not witchcraft. Do you know that? Like this is not hot.
Well, you
I
got to
want to let
remember anything beyond what the Christians don't know,
I
the
want to
Catholics
let you
don't
know that
know,
it is
the
not
Muslims
witchcraft.
don't know, they're going to call witchcraft. Why? Because that's the first thing they know they can call it, and people will run from it. They won't even
But
open up a book on it.
I think a lot of people are coming around to it though. I also feel that way because there was this trend on TikTok and it was a shadow workbook that was going around on TikTok. And so I feel like it's a lot of teachings that are being put out there. I think there's a lot more things, and there's the guy who they say they give credit to for creating the thought of shadow work, or the book, the question analysis or whatever, is Carl Jung or something like that. He's Swedish. He's a Swedish psychologist, and he came up with the essence of shadow work
Did he?
and how it was. What you
Did
say?
he?
What?
Did he?
But I'm saying this who they give credit to. You know
Once
what I'm
again,
saying?
we know that shadow work stems back into Kemet,
Yeah,
way
it's
before he
kind
was
of.
even alive in
And
his
this
race.
is where it, and I'm glad that you're here to tell, because just what we was talking about earlier about how I said that mathematics, all of these things that we can think of,
All of it.
even the first C-section is there was a doctor who was there in Africa, and because the Westerners, they kept failing. Europeans, it was the Europeans, they kept failing at trying to get the C-section done, and they went and watched, and what he understood is that, oh, it's the sterilization that's keeping the patients alive. So he went back and he tried it. He did it on, I think it was a 25-year-old girl, a woman, and they did the C-section, and I believe she survived for 29 days after that. That was the longest anybody had survived after a C-section. But the where he recorded it was in his book, it was in his journal, so we wouldn't know, because they weren't giving us credit, so you wouldn't know. But if you read the journals that are left behind, they have it, and that's where the text is. That's where it tells you, oh, we were in Africa
You
1889.
got to remember, all the doctor of medicine is Enhotep. They stole his stuff,
Yeah,
all his medical journeys, and came up with their own shit. All
yeah.
right. Aristotle, Plato's, and Socrates went to Egypt and learned. They went to the universities, which was 40 years of learning, but they couldn't handle 40 years. The most, I think, two of them got 7 years in, one got 8, and I think the other one lasted, Plato lasted to like 10 or 11 before they stole the manuscripts and went back to Greece and said, yeah, these are all the books that I wrote. So, and that's in Stolen Legacy by W. William G.M. James. So there's
Yes.
literature, literal literature that explains that everything we have came from us. What if our kids knew that the math they was learning was a weak, watered down version of the strength we were doing?
I
You
told
see
you.
what I'm
They
saying?
little,
So they put
the
everything
little.
against us so that
I
we
like
don't even
what
want to
I
learn
said.
our own stuff. My bad. Go ahead.
No, I was saying my bad. My Like I was saying earlier was the Shango, like the Shango bone. It had more than just the mathematics on it. They have been teaching these things. What sound? They found a hyperbaric sound chamber back, and they had uncovered it. They unearthed it. It was in somewhere in Africa.
I
And they
told you.
were surprised.
We were more advanced back then than
Yes,
we are now
yeah.
because we were going through every spirit we knew spiritual science. See,
Mm-hmm.
just like there's physical science to explain the physical and to break down the physical, there's spiritual science to break down the spirit, the mind, the soul, how it works,
Mm-hmm.
how it's activated, how it strengthens, how it has its effects on the physical. The problem is Western society has no knowledge of spiritual science because it can't be proven through their normal method of observation.
Well, I'll say
If
that they're getting way closer, and this is me giving it because I've been reading all of these science journals and everything like that. The leaps and bounds that they have made with quantum mechanics and doing all of the quantum things,
mhm,
however they
works,
figured out how to unlock it to get it to a point of where they can understand how to look at it. Yeah, like I
they're
believe that.
trying to find the point. They're trying to find melanin, that melanin element,
I
but
understand
they'll
all of that,
but
but what
they'll
I'm
never
saying is,
find it because it's a solid form of light.
the thing I'm saying is that they are going to understand more and more how spirituality works because quantum physics in the science world is the closest thing to spirituality because
Yeah,
quantum physics
yeah.
and that's why they're going to discover it because now they're, I mean, with quantum mechanics, if they're able to break down superposition and duality
But
and how,
there's certain things that have to be known. They can't be broken down.
that's okay. All I'm saying is they'll be able to better understand it. What computers are going to be, that
Yeah,
might be their god. I have no idea, but whatever it is for them, whatever gets them closer to whatever form of spirituality that we naturally have, they're creating it.
they're
Literally.
trying to. That's the whole multiverse, putting on the goggles, going into a whole. They're
Yes.
trying to recreate what we do in our mind automatically.
Absolutely. I am telling you. And when I started looking into quantum mechanics, I said, oh my goodness. And when I happened to just stumble upon it, they had just started talking about how, and I mean these journals they're not new.
Oh,
It's
don't
not
get it
like this was
twisted. They use witches, witchcraft,
I
hypnosis.
believe that. I
Don't get it
everything
twisted. They use
interconnected.
voodoo. They'll use anything and everything if it works.
They
Don't get it
use it
twisted
all.
now. He's not a fool. If it works, they gonna use it. If it don't work, they gonna kick it to the curb.
Yeah, and
Don't
well,
get it twisted.
they found out shadow work works.
And they steer us
So,
straight to religion.
yeah. And shadow work is really just about being honest with yourself. It's about showing yourself compassion. I like to tell everybody this. What you do, what you show everybody else, show to yourself. Take everything that you do for everybody else, show the compassion that you show to other people, that man that was in the street, your child, all of those people, how you treat those people, Treat yourself. Give yourself 24 hours of that. Watch how you talk to yourself. Talk to yourself like you the elder you wouldn't cuss around. Like that's where you gotta get to sometimes to understand. Oh, okay, this is me. This is something I let put on me. And this is what shadow work is doing. It's allowing you to become aware of you. It's allowing you to understand that this is where you're standing in the moment. And if you want to get to the other side of this is what you're gonna have to do. And now you gotta decide. And what you choose to do is what you choose to do. That's between you and yourself. I just want to let you guys know that I appreciate you all so much. I know, like, I was telling Mr. Accountability earlier. I used to, like, when Narissa said it on one of the podcasts. She's like, you used to talk to yourself, and literally, yes, I used to talk to myself all the time. Like,
Still do.
maybe like sometimes no viewers, zero, and I had made up in my mind that this is something that I'm doing it. Fuck it. Like, I don't care who show up, I don't care who. And it was like a thing because I get so many text messages these days from people, and I get messages on Facebook, and they just like, oh yeah, I was watching your podcast the other day, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I want to thank you guys for making that possible. Even the people in the audience, I appreciate you, especially the panel, for y'all coming on every single Sunday, talking to them, sharing your knowledge with them, letting them learn something. And also in return, I thank the audience for also letting us learn something from you all, sharing your stories, being brave enough to put it out there. So do you all have any closing remarks that you would like to say?
Yeah, I definitely, that I've been rocking with you for a while now. So, I appreciate the love. I appreciate, what I'm saying, you even have me on here as much as you do, as much as you have. I'm glad you stuck this out with the podcast and kept going because I've always believed in you in a lot of ways, even with your poetry, even though you stubborn as hell, like stubborn in the motherfucker. But I'm actually glad. I'm proud of you in a lot of ways. So, again, I appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? It's all love for me.
Mental, any last words?
Shadow work. Best work you ever do for yourself.
I agree with that. Well, thank you all so much for tuning into the Immersive Experience, a podcast about you, for you, from you. And I hope you all learned something from this episode of Dancing with Darkness. And you all have an amazing evening. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next Sunday.
Peace and love.